So one of the troubles we've been having with the 3115 laptops is the hinges loosen up. The evidence is the lid's got a lot more play than it's supposed to have. What we've discovered is that the two screws here and two screws here attached to the display loosen up. So I'll show you really quickly how to take care of that. As with any service, we want to pull the battery out because there are live connections up to the screen. You then need to take the bezel off. It's mostly a snap fit, but there's one piece of adhesive right here on the bottom. So if I pry up just one tiny little piece of this, the rest of it should be relatively easy to pull up. And in the bottom center, there is a piece of adhesive that just needs to be separated. Okay. So one of the pieces to be careful of are these two silver pieces on the top of the bezel. It's just a plastic press fit. I have had some where I've had to just re-glue that piece on, but the top part of the hinge should come up with the bezel. Once the bezel is off, it's really easy. There are two screws here, one, two, and two screws here that loosen up. In this case, as I suspected, it's the left hinge that is loose. So I'll just tighten down that. And that. And since I'm in here, I'll tighten down the other two also. Done. Putting the bezel back on, I found it's easiest to start from the bottom and snap that bottom center and adhesive part back on. Working with an LCD screen, you just want to make sure you're snapping the very edge, because the edge of the LCD is about halfway through the bezel. So if we snap this back down, and you just kind of work your fingers around, make sure every single little catch point snaps down, including right down in here. Just feel that. The hinges themselves, when you close the lid, the hinge has one little separation point, and I found if you get a little screwdriver in here, those should snap back together. They snap off very easily, but you have to kind of manually force them back together. Battery back in. Open that, and we got nice tight hinges. The other thing to check on a 3115 is to see whether the keyboard screws have loosened up. A lot of the ones we've seen have. You can tell because they rattle. It's a pretty easy fix. Pull out the battery, pull off the back case, and there are 3 keyboard screws. In this case, the very center one, the rattle is because they've come completely loose. So I'll tighten up the center one. The 2 side screws are under the edges of these corners, which also break off quite regularly. So I'll pull up the foot, and there's a single screw in the center of the corner. Pull that off, and the keyboard screw is right down under here. So there's 1, there's 2. And I found on this corner you can actually get the screwdriver in to tighten that 3rd one as well. So when a laptop comes in, shake it to hear the rattle, and that means those 3 keyboard screws will need tightening.
Okay, she's not around.
And it's all set.